I haven't heard about the semantic social graph part. That's pretty interesting. I'd love to look at that. I remember when I was researching Web of Trust initially, I think you spurred Kevin to tell me about it, and I reached out to you and I was like, hey, what are some examples of Web of Trust, and you help me out. So I'm really curious about how that's evolved and how you're using it in practice. So I'll be interested to see more of that. So it sounds like you made some architectural simplifications and then made some like advancements or continued on your roadmap in other ways. That sounds pretty awesome. I think the other question I had was around BitKit. I think I'd seen you tease Marketplace. I think a big part of your vision is marketplaces with Pubky, and I'm curious how some of these pieces connect and when I can actually buy things on Pubky.
That, to me, when people can buy things on Pubky, that's version 1.0 of Synonym's vision. And so like when people say, oh, what are you going to do to get BitKit to compete with Wallet of Satoshi? I'm like, that's not why we made BitKit. Like, we started with BitKit in the hopes that we could ride like a momentum wave for Lightning, and then by the time we were done with the rest, we'd have some users of BitKit that we could introduce into what is now Pubky. And now the same thing with Pubky, that we have some people using the social features, so that we'll have some bootstrapping available for when we actually deliver the market features. And so with BitKit, we just released BitKit 2.0, which was a complete rewrite of the entire app. Formerly, it was React Native, shipped for both operating systems on mobile, but now it's native for both operating systems. 2 new apps. It took us a long time, a lot of work, but those were just launched. And so the next phases are, as you guys may have heard, vibe coding is a big deal right now. And
it's called agentic engineering now, John.
Guess what? I'm a developer now. And so instead of taking a vacation this winter, I spent 6 weeks in a rabbit hole, basically doing the R&D for the entire next phase of stuff. And so I made a noise library that implements snow noise for Pubky keys. I made PayKit, which maybe you guys may have heard me talk about in the past, or /pay as a former concept. And so this is basically a superficial payment protocol. So it's a payment protocol that's only for keys. And it has all of the use cases you would want for payment protocols, subscriptions, payment requests, etc., except that it's for any payment protocol. So it could be for legacy Bitcoin, Lightning, it could be for Liquid, it could be for Ethereum, it could be for PayPal. It doesn't matter. You just have to make a plugin that handles the requests for that payment method, and you just have to include that payment method within your endpoints. And applications can basically match whatever methods they have in common by order of preference in the background. So the user experience can be much like a unified checkout flow, where the checkout flow can actually be in the wallet. So you can have all the metadata, you can have all the invoice data, etc., and it's all handled on this payment protocol that is superficial to the actual settlement protocols. And so it kind of makes payments possible for peer-to-peer in an extensible way. And so the idea there is that I can't predict whether Lightning will still be here in 5 years, or whether Arc will be the next big thing, or Spark will be the next big thing, or eCash or Cashew, or all these things. We're inventing new protocols, and nobody cares that they're literally impossible to bootstrap, but we're going to keep throwing away the old one and making a new one. And so I think, okay, well, why don't we just do this on a superficial level, and so we can keep swapping out what's underneath. And so that's the idea with PayKit. And the reason I'm laying this foundation for you is that that's the middle requirement for the final step, which is what we call Pubky locks. And Pubky locks are going to be a way of using all of this encryption schemes within PayKit, within the noise keys that are delegated from your ID key. So this way you can keep no matter what you do, you can always keep your main identity cold, but you can now have delegated sessions, delegated application keys, delegated private noise keys to accomplish all of your different use cases. And so the final stage of 1.0 of the atomic economy would be having the first few lock types capable. So a Pubky user can say, okay, you guys may recall when I did the podcast, The Biz, and I had the crowd walls. And so we'll have, that was a way too early taste of what I'm trying to do here. And so if you want, you'll be able to lock your post with a crowd wall. You can lock your post with a pay-per-view, with a membership, with a tag, with a password, all these different things that are going to be peer-to-peer. So the payments happen peer-to-peer, but the home server is trusted to deliver the data in the end. And so if you don't want to trust the home server in that aspect, if you don't need the scale, you could then host it yourself instead. So it allows fully peer-to-peer coordination, coordination of payment types, coordination of data, of URLs, of keys, of people, of all aspects of the e-commerce flow. And so then once we can lay that foundation, BitKit users will be able to pay things in Pubky applications, any Pubky application, not just the ones that we create, from any wallet that supports PayKit. not just our wallet. And so all of this is meant to be like fully open protocol solution for anybody. And so, yeah, that's the kind of rant of what the next stage is for us. I would say before the middle of the year, you should see that.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, actually.